non-stopping action from BBC Radio Newcastle.
Are you a Doctor Who fan then, Tim?
I was a big Doctor Who fan. I mean, I think most people were, but I'm not sure about the new one.
Behind the sofa back in the 70s.
Yeah.
The new series of the cult television show Doctor Who is being unveiled this evening. The news that it'll soon be back on our screens has delighted fans of the show, not least Andrew Green from Sunderland. His home on the Pennywell estate is a shrine to the long-running TV series, and he's been giving us a guided tour.
Hello, I'm Andrew Green. I'm probably one of the biggest Doctor Who fans in the North East. The special fascination of Doctor Who to me is its just quintessential Britishness and great traditional storytelling, and today can still scare little children. This is Tom Baker doll, which also talks, and here's a typical phrase.
But human beings are quite my favourite species.
The device here is what we call a ratty mod. A fan has produced various electronic components to put them in a little box. The microphone picks up your voice, and it's modulated to different frequencies within the electronic box, which are then passed to a speaker, who then puts out that reverberated sound of the Dalek. For instance, if I wish to talk like this, we can do exterminate, exterminate! The best Doctor Who is all of them, depending when you were born. The best to me is ultimately Tom Baker. If you were born in the 60s, you're going to say William Hartnell or Pat Troughton. Each had their own style, to be different yet the same at the same time. But personally, my favourite was Tom Baker.
You will obey!
The new series coming to BBC One this March is just brilliant. It was never expected. After so many years in the wilderness, at last the Doctor is back. It's about time too.
He's a bit of a lad, isn't he? That's Doctor Who fan Andrew Green, who tells us his two children, 10 and 9 years of age, also share his passion for the TV series. Let's have a natter with Phil Penfold, TV writer, going to the launch of the programme this evening. Morning, Phil.
Good morning, Mike.
So the Daleks are back, and this time the stairs won't stop them.
No, the Daleks can move about. They don't have to use the disabled access ramp to get anywhere. They're able to do a sort of manoeuvre which they're keeping under wraps until we see the programme tonight. So if I recall tomorrow morning, I can tell you how they do it. Yes, they have manoeuvrability. They can get upstairs. It's always seemed a bit daft to me that you had this alien race conquering planets and they couldn't negotiate a step of 9 inches. You know, it was a bit improbable, but never mind.
So will fans of Doctor Who be pleased with the new series, do you think?
Well, from what I hear, the buzz is, and I'm just on my way to preparing to go to Cardiff, which is where the series is being launched, because the BBC have filmed most of it down there, although they have done a lot of location work in London. But this is a nod to the regions thing for the BBC, so it's been filmed in Wales. I think people will warm to it. It's got the same signature tune and opening title sequence, although I gather that it has been slightly modified for the 21st century, same sig and whatever. It's cost 10 million quid to make, 10 million pounds for the episodes of the series, which is probably more than the entire run of Doctor Who ever had in all its incarnations. And it's been written by a very, very fine TV writer, Russell T Davies, who gave us things like Second Coming, Mine or Mine, doing Casanova on the BBC at the moment, and of course who originated Queer as Folk across on Channel 4, which leads me to think that if he's going to incorporate a few gay themes into Doctor Who, as Mr. Davies might well, as he seems to do in a lot of his stuff, we'll probably have the Daleks shouting, exfoliate, exfoliate, exfoliate.
Nice line. Christopher Eccleston is the new Doctor, of course. Now, personally, I think, Phil, I would have gone for Bill Nighy.
Yes, I don't. Chris Eccleston seems to me to be far more of a classical actor, a quirky, but maybe that's what they wanted. I'm going to reserve judgment on that, and the casting of Billie Piper, of course, as his glamorous assistant, Rita, or whatever she's called, because they haven't even told us that yet. I'm going to reserve judgment on that until I see it tonight, because Eccleston pulls off some very good performances, and I want to see what he does with this one. It's going to be intriguing, really will be. The other thing, of course, Mike, is that I did an interview with Tom Baker, who your big fan mentioned there a few years ago, and I said to him, "Would he ever play the Doctor again?" And he said, "Well, they'd never ask me, but he said, never say never. It will be interesting to go back." And then he wistfully said, well, I don't think they'd ever bring back the Doctor now. He said, this was a couple of years ago, I don't think they'd ever bring it back. He said, certainly not with the TARDIS. He said, there are no blue police boxes lying around in London or anywhere else anymore. And he's absolutely right. They're one of the bits of street furniture that have vanished. But they're using the TARDIS again. The TARDIS, the familiar blue box, is there. And Tom Baker, when I did the interviews, I said, well, what would be the alternative? He said, it'd probably be in one of those ruddy aluminium portaloos you find everywhere. You can't expect the Doctor to have ruddy well disappear into a lavatory, can you? And he was really rather scathing in that lovely Tom Baker way. So I'd love to be a fly on the wall. I wish they'd asked Tom Baker to the do tonight, but I don't think they will have done.
Yeah, and of course, when you ask people, who was the best Doctor Who, what they say rather depends on how old they are, doesn't it?
I think your fan in Sunderland was absolutely spot on that one. He's read it absolutely rightly. I mean, a lot of people warmed to Colin Baker because he had that sort of big, bumbly, avuncular, uncle feel. People like Tom Baker because he was very acerbic. A lot of people like William Hartnell because he was the original. They all have their fans according to the age and which generation you were put to it. And I have to say, Mike, as you well know, I am not a great fan of sci-fi and sci-fi fiction and TV and films and the rest of it. It leaves me absolutely cold. But I do think the Doctor had a unique quality to it, and even I used to go home and watch that when I was in my late 9, 10 and into my early teens and find it amusing because I thought it was always written with a great deal of love and a great deal of wit, and wit seems to elude a lot of science fiction stuff. That's what was key to the Doctor thing, was it was written with love and it also had some humour in it, and I hope Russell T Davies, and I know him as I do, I know he will do, I hope he's kept that in for the new reincarnation. Still, we shall see tonight when all is unveiled.
Yeah, and just finally, Phil, I mean, we're reading in some of the papers this morning that some fans have had a sneak preview. There's been some unofficial downloads on the internet.
Yes, so I believe, and I don't know why they want to do that. It just spoils all the fun, and lots of rumours going around about various elements, but I'll reserve judgment till I can never understand that. It's a bit like going downstairs the night before Christmas and unwrapping all your presents and then wrapping them up again and pretending that you've got a big surprise on Christmas morning. It spoils it all. I can't wait tonight to see what they've done with it, and I bet you it'll get a round of applause even when the titles start, even from cynical old hacks like me.
Good to talk to you, Phil.
And you, Mike. Take care.
Ta-da. Phil Penfold, TV writer. You're listening to BBC Radio Newcastle. It's 8